Let's go watch it in 2D. No, let's go watch it in 3D. But if we watch it in 3D, then is it worth the cost?
Hello.
The Addams Family is back.
Cousin It, you made it!
Get ready for a Halloween comedy you can share with the whole family.
You gotta calm down! There's still a day to get ready!
Hello, my yuglies.
They're here.
It's wonderful.
The Addams Family. It is a privilege to watch you work.
The Addams Family. In theaters Friday.
Rated PG.
Hello. This is Adolf. I have with me Jake.
Howdy, folks.
And today we're reviewing The Addams Family 2019. As always, in 3D or 2D.com reviews, we'll talk about the 3D element first. Now, I watched the movie in 2D, and Jake did the review and watched it in 3D. So, Jake, how is the 3D?
I mean, the 3D is standard. It's good. I mean, at this point, a 3D animated, computer animated movie, they can crap out decent 3D. The thing is, that's all it is. It's just your standard, defined 3D. I mean, only one scene registered with me as being above and beyond. That was a bat transition. I mean, like I said, it just was what I would call nice. If you love 3D and you have to see this movie, see it. But I don't think you have to see it in 3D. Actually, I don't think you need to see it at all, but that's beside the point.
So, there's like some sword stuff in here. That was kind of cool, or no? Not 3D?
It looked better in Puss in Boots.
Okay.
Stuff like that. I mean, it didn't pop. I mean, it was just, they missed opportunity after opportunity. It's like the 3D is an afterthought. But because this is computer animated, they just hit a couple buttons and bam, they've got decent 3D.
There's good depth. There's good separation in there.
Mm-hmm. But they didn't really angle it to maximize the impact.
Okay.
Yeah, this isn't How to Train Your Dragon.
Okay, so your final verdict?
Good 3D.
Okay, so let's get to the movie itself. The Addams Family has been around for decades, and this is not their first movie. This is the first animated movie.
It's not even that. They had television stuff but this is the first computer-generated 3D animated.
Good correction there. So the film, it kind of has like three plots. It has a plot with Pugsley, and he's like, growing up party, and there's another plot with the town, and they're meeting the Addams Family for the first time, and there's like a third plot with like the reality TV star who wants to make over homes, and all these plots kind of come together. It just doesn't really feel like a really coherent narrative. Jake? Yep.
And it wasn't interesting. I mean, Ugly Dolls had a similar storyline. I mean, this is just such a cliche-ridden storyline. It's something I've seen 100 times. I'm sure everybody listening to this has seen this 100 times, unless you never see movies. And if you're a fan of the Addamses, you've probably seen 100 movies at least.
And in some ways, it feels like the original 90s Addams movie. Basically the same thing. Addams Family meets modern culture. Look how different things are,
Yeah, I wish they had taken as much time with the story as they did with all the homages and references. I mean, they were showing their fanboy merit badges off in this movie to show how big of fans they were, staying faithful or trying to stay faithful to Charles Addams's original drawings. And one detail I have to mention, because I really thought it was a nice touch, putting nooses on the ends of Wednesday's braids.
Yeah, it was cute. It worked.
And I've also noticed when I was a kid, everybody was like in love with Morticia. Morticia was the popular one. I've noticed that's kind of changed, that it's now Wednesday is the popular character in the family now.
Yeah. Now, the villain here is pretty bad. She is like a Martha Stewart kind of makeover host.
Yeah, I mean, the character was a borderline misogynistic. I mean, this is a female equivalent of a blackface character.
She just is completely over the top girly girl.
And it's so offensive. I mean, I was repulsed just by this crap was not cool in the 90s, and it isn't cool now. It was just such a terrible characterization.
Now, speaking of terrible, let's talk about the character models here. They still look bad. We were mentioning this in the trailers when we talked about it. It looks bad in the movie. The character models look ugly.
Well, they just were not designed to be in 3 dimensions. Now over the decades, Charles Addams slightly changed how he drew each character. If they wanted to remain faithful to his vision, they should have picked various versions from different runs of his cartoons, because I mean, he drew them for like over 50 years. They had a lot, or they could have broken with tradition and based them on the live action characters, which is, I hate to say this, how most people are familiar with them, because I don't think that many people have read the actual one-panel comics that Charles Addams drew.
In fairness, I didn't know they existed. I only knew of, the 90s movie, and like there's like a TV show, the 60s TV show. I didn't know it went back to the cartoon, so I didn't know about that.
Okay. Yeah, see, and I never read The New Yorker. I read them in collections.
Okay, so what are your overall thoughts on the movie itself?
It's kind of pretty to look at, but story-wise, it is a terrible. I mean, it's cliched. It's just uninspired.
So what's your final verdict?
5 out of 10.
I liked it a hair more than you. Basically, the reason I'll give it a 6 is because I feel like the music, the 2 songs that were introduced in this movie, work well, and how those scenes kind of built up really kind of was nice. I'll give them a point because of that, but I do feel like it's just kind of a series of scenes, and it just doesn't connect well. So it's passable for me, but barely, So, like you said, sometimes rounding up, this would be like a 5.56, right on that edge,
Yeah. Mine's definitely just a touch below that. That's why I'm giving it a 5.
All right, that's it for us. All right, before this podcast ends, I want to give a thank you to my patrons. Right now, we have one patron, which is David from Spain, and I want to thank you for your financial support. All right, so that's going to be it for this podcast.
We now have a Patreon, and the link is in the description. Thanks for watching.
And we are on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. They don't put it everywhere. Just look for us, 3D or 2D. And of course, review us on iTunes. And if you want to write us a letter, our email address is email3dortwo d@gmail.com. So that's going to be it. Thanks for listening. Bye.
Bye.
Okay, bye.
Bye. Bye, everyone.